Okay, cool. So welcome everyone to our webinar. I'm Terry Martin, Director at the Alliance of Independent Agencies, and thanks for joining us. This is a really important webinar, which is hosted by Cubit Technology, the Alliance's preferred IT services supply. We're really addressing a critical issue today, spoofed emails. Just imagine if your agency's emails stop reaching their destination, or if complaints just started surging about spamming. So today we're going to find how you can stop that and really protect your agency's reputation and ensure those emails remain trusted. We're joined by Ralph Harrison, Sales and Marketing Director at Cubit. All right. And Stephen van der Merwe, who's a Senior Sales Specialist at Zenmonk. Hey, Stephen. They're the ones who are going to be providing all the insights and expert advice for us today. So without further ado, over to you guys.
Wonderful. Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Kirsty, for organising. So yes, my name's Ralph, and I work at Cubit Technology, and we're basically an IT company that focuses on supporting independent agencies. We work with about 30 organisations across London, from small specialists with 10 people to larger independents with 150 plus. And yeah, we're going to address this particular subject today. Funnily enough, on the way in, I had a nice cycle ride in, managed to avoid the rain, and I went past Great Ormond Street Hospital, who they use a bit of rebranding. We often think about marketing as about selling to people, but it's not all about selling. The Great Ormond Street Hospital, it appears, rebrands their ambulances for children to make them less concerned about going into ambulances. So the example of this, a Peter Pan ambulance, I thought was rather charming, and it makes us think that a lot of what we do in marketing is about developing trust in our product or our service. And that's one element of the agenda today. So we're going to talk about the threat from spoofed emails, and what particularly is being done to prevent it. And, we're all involved in marketing, if you're a member of the Alliance. So how does this affect you guys? My little bit here is going to go through very quickly. I'm just doing the only intro act. I'm definitely not the right person to give technical analysis, but Stephen is very much that person. He will be going through some detail about the technology that's in play and how to use this technology to gain the appropriate results. And that's about two things, really. It's about email impersonations or spoofing, and it's about delivering, making sure the emails get to their destination. So we'll have some questions and answers. I hope you have some questions. There'll be time anyway for us to answer those. And do please provide any kind of feedback. We'd love to make these sessions a regular occurrence, and clearly to do that successfully, we want to know what works, what's interesting, and what isn't. So yeah, spoofed emails, well, 360 billion emails. Sometimes you probably feel you get most of those, but about 1% of those are spoofed. And that gives you some kind of idea about the scale of the problem. Yeah, 1% sounds small, but when it's this enormous volume, and each one of those can cause a major security weakness, or basically it's a vulnerability for you. Something like 90% of cyber attacks come through email, and effectively what we're looking at here is an aspect of human behavior. We like to trust each other. We work in groups. We work with people we like. We trust when something comes in and we click on a link. Gosh, basically the scale of the problem is because people are or scammers and hackers are abusing that general human behavior to trust things. And then what makes it particularly dangerous is when we're expecting some kind of email or we're expecting something to happen. It means any kind of critical aspect of our behavior starts to reduce. We expect something to come in. We then click on it, we open it, and we're particularly vulnerable. So there are two elements of this deception. Either the scammer will establish a similar domain, and it's literally so close to the correct one that you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see the difference unless you try hard. Or they actually use another domain, the correct domain. And it's really that second element that Stephen's going to be focusing on later. So what is being done about it? Well, the big email sort of providers, Google and Yahoo, are tightening up. So this is affecting the bulk senders first, and many of your agencies out there will be bulk senders. 5,000 emails or more per week, and then what will happen ultimately is this kind of tightening up will affect all email transmissions, and it's being done using a new it's actually a 10-year-old DMARC as an authentication protocol. Is I think 10 years old, but it's only now being implemented, and it's this DMARC protocol that Stephen's going to be guiding you through later. So the potential impact is first of all, if you set up your DMARC protocol correctly, you'll prevent your domain from being used by others, and that threat is really considerable. Imagine your agency is festooned with people complaining about it and spam by you, and it was nothing to do with you. You've got no control over it. Well, by setting up a DMARC record, you're making a major step towards preventing that happening. The other thing is your emails just aren't going to reach recipients unless Google, Yahoo, other email transmitters can be assured that you are who you say you are. So you're looking at a QR code. Maybe some of you even tried it. I would ask you to try it, because basically what you'll be guided to is a page where you can put in your company email address and then put in your private email address. And if your company domain is vulnerable, you'll get a spoofed email. Now, don't worry, your personal email address won't be stored, nor will your company email address. It's purely for you to see whether, what does it look like to receive a spoofed email. So to guide you through a bit more detail on this, I'm going to hand you over to Stephen, and he will guide you through the actual detail about DMARC and how to employ it.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, everybody. Good morning. Hope everyone is having a wonderful morning so far. Just want to pull up the share screen. Ralph, let me know when everybody can see my screen. Yeah, I'm getting thumbs up from Terry, so that's good. So yeah, it's a funny thing, this world of email, and how it works. But really, what we're going to be talking about today is just a quick synopsis of how technology can improve or impact what teams in marketing, teams in operations, teams in finance, teams in management do when using this critical app, right? Because email is a critical app. So we're going to go through some of the issues that relate to email, that relate to this big bad world around cybersecurity, but more specifically domain impersonation, and not just sharing some information, but really a call to action as every domain owner, whether you are the domain owner or you're part of an organization that manages or owns domains, utilizing them to send and receive email. And really the action is, let's get started. Let's have a look at where the vulnerabilities lie and see what we can do to improve on operational efficiencies with regards to email. So I'm not technical by nature. I have been in cybersecurity for the last 10 years, specializing in email security. It is one of my favorite topics to discuss, but as if you speak to my friends and family, I bring up email security when I'm tired of them and they need to go home if they've overstayed their welcome at a barbecue. But it is a real important topic that we need to discuss, because it doesn't just affect one part of the business, it affects all parts of the business. And as Rolf quite rightly said, 90% plus of the cyber attacks start with an email. Why? Because it's the most used communication tool out there. You probably woke up this morning, first thing you probably did is made a cup of coffee or some tea, checked your emails and, kind of highlighted the ones that you needed to respond to rather urgently. And if we take a step back and realize, what email is, it's effectively electronic forms of physical handwritten letters, which, let's be honest, was never designed with security or rather efficiencies in mind. Without going too much into the technicality of things, there's a couple of issues that surround this that, I've got friends that work in marketing and they ask me a question, well, Steve, why should we care? It is fundamentally an IT problem. It is a security problem. It's not really a marketing problem. So I asked the question back to them is, how important is it for delivery when you're sending marketing emails or any email for that matter? And they're like, no, it's exceptionally important. And then I pose another question. How sure are you that those emails are landing up in the right locations? And they start frowning and they're going, well, because the technology is telling us that it is, and it's designed that way. Okay, fair. And how sure are you that the people are actually receiving an email from you or your marketing team or anyone in the company that's legitimate? How do you have visibility and how do you make sure that that is in fact true? I wanted to use this as an example. This is not a real impersonation email for obvious reasons, because it's so easy to make them and so easy to do them, as I'm sure you've done and checked with the QR code, which I'll explain in more detail. But really what the point is of this is to show you that they don't have to have any malicious links in them. They don't have to have nasty attachments in them. It just could be fake information. Now, you've got customers that are strategic customers that you've partnered with over many years. You generate business for them. They generate business for you. And it's really much what Rob said in the beginning. It's an abuse of a trusted relationship. And almost to the point where you're feeling a little bit vulnerable and a little bit violated, especially if people that you know and have known for a while are receiving emails that look like they've come from you. They trust you, so they click on an attachment that's got nothing malicious inside it other than a changed banking detail. Now they're paying invoices into a fraudulent account. Similarly, the world of email at the moment, especially with the latest announcement from Google and Yahoo, basically saying that we are going to clamp down on this because we need businesses to prove that they own the domains in which they're sending email to prevent this very problem. But it creates a backlog and it creates another issue because now there's this idea of mistrust or distrust rather. So in sending legitimate emails, as much as they are legitimate, the receivers cannot actually verify if it's coming from a safe or legitimate source or not. So the default is put it in a junk folder or actually reject it. So this is very important, not just from a security perspective, but it's actually business critical that this gets done and done correctly. So let's have a look at this, right? So if you haven't, get your phone out. If you've got a latest smartphone, you should just be able to scan it with your camera. It is going to ask you for your personal email address and your work email address for the intents and purposes of sending an email from yourself to yourself, right? This is done in a controlled environment. It's not anything malicious or untoward, but I just need to put that disclaimer out there. Once you click on that, it's going to pop you up or should pop up with this impersonation demonstration. I'm happy to do a live demonstration of this at a later stage if need be. But yeah, just accept, send, and we make sure that no personal information is recorded or anything like that. This is just to show you that this is possible, and if this is happening on a small scale in this controlled environment, imagine what's happening on a 3 billion email scale per day or per week that Rolf mentioned before. I mean, this is what these guys do. They do it for a living. They do it to topple up businesses. They do it to steal money. They do it to steal information. And it leaves us, the people that are the victims, trying to pick up the pieces with our partners and with our customers that are now shouting at us. What you will get if you do a domain analysis, now remember, a domain is the identity of the business from which you're sending email. It's very important to understand that there is always a starting point, and whatever the the potential score is as a starting point, it's important to understand that you've already taken the first step. Is understanding where your business is at with regards to this particular security and particular operational efficiency. Now, don't be alarmed, don't be panicked. That's why we have Rolf here as well, who has very, very kindly offered to assist you guys with anything regarding this domain protection and email efficiency. And it's our job and our attention to, if you're so inclined, to improve this domain safety score. And essentially, no one wants to be a 0 out of 5. Everyone wants to be a 5 out of 5, but no one really knows how to get there. So that's where we come in. That's where we're here to assist and help you improve that score. And from any portion of the business, from finance to operations or anything like that, any analysis that we do doesn't cost you anything. So we're happy to do that with you and give you an initial report on that. The world of email is evolving, as I mentioned, and it was never designed with security and efficiencies in mind. So two of the biggest email sending behemoths out there in the world, being Yahoo and Google, have basically stipulated that if you as an email sender that has a registered domain are sending email to any of their platforms, which is, roughly a third or 2/3 of the world, and you can't prove that you own that domain, your mail is going to end up in a junk folder or a spam folder, or actually not successfully delivered at all. Now, that's not meant to scare you. That's meant to wake you up, perk your interests, and go, this maybe not be just a security thing anymore. This may also be an operations perspective. It also might be a function of finance. If you can't send emails, you can't send invoices. If you can't send emails, you can't send marketing collateral to specific clients or providers. You can't fulfill on marketing briefs that you've been asked to fulfill on. Slowly but surely, other big email sending platforms are going to start jumping on this as well, because when one does something, the likelihood is the rest will follow suit. So because these guys are going to stop sending or preventing to send emails to receivers, they've asked you to do one simple thing. And it's not about security. It's simply proving identity. Are you who you say you are? Are you from the organization that you say you represent? What it will do is you'll see improvements on successful email sending by up to 18% in the initial week, and further improvements on email successful delivery in the future. That being said, there are some technical pieces behind this. Without getting too much into the weeds, it is a trio or a three musketeer approach here that will allow us to successfully mitigate this, and it does a few things. Very quickly, the difference between the two: most businesses, much like yourselves, are probably focused on protecting your own house, protecting your employees, protecting yourselves. That's the attacker's initial interest, is to get to you. We then forget that we've got people outside that trust us, outside this environment that trust us. What I'm not saying is you need to replace what you've already done. What I am saying is you need to add to what you've already done. So if we can complete this circle over here to make sure that the attacker has no interest in you whatsoever and moves on to the next person or the next business that isn't such in a way inclined, or doesn't understand this information, or hasn't been exposed to this information. And this is where we come in. We do a couple of important things in the back end. We don't need a lot of resources from internal businesses. And it's important for all of us to do this because we need to continue building this trusted network that we use email for. We don't want to degrade that. We don't want to break it down. And we don't want to put anyone at risk. Let's have a look at some of the regulators, institutions, providers. They're driving DMARC adoption. They're driving DMARC awareness, British government, GDPR organizations, etc. This is something that's going to become mandatory at some point. Right now, it's not enforced. But like I say to all my clients, it will give you an advantage. It will give you an edge. And it will remove any potential headache with regards to a question of, is this a legitimate email or not? If you need more information around these certain standards and these certain providers that are driving DMARC compliance, please reach out to the guys at Cubit Technology. We'd be happy to assist with that. And essentially, that is a high-level overview of impersonation and how it impacts a business. And I'll take any questions now if we have it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stephen and Ralph. I suppose we'll leave it there for today. But yeah, it's sobering, isn't it, at the end of the day? But when we started our conversations a couple of weeks to get this webinar on, because I thought it was such an important topic for our agencies, that I've already started setting up. I've put it in our DMARC, and I think my score is now 4 out of 5. There's one more thing to do, something like that. But I'll be speaking to yourselves, Ralph and Stephen, to make sure that we can get that 5 out of 5 score, because for our organization, you know, email's key to speak to our members, make sure that it's not getting spoofed.
It's a really important reputational aspect, isn't it? I know, speaking to PR agencies, we've got 20 of our clients are PR agencies, and they send out huge volumes of email, and if that email doesn't get through, or that they might be sort of blacklisted, then it's a disaster for them. You know, a marketing agency that can't use email to market is very, very bad for their reputation. And actually, talking about branding, there's one more aspect of on top of DMARC, which is BIMI, where you'll be able to have your company brand shown on the email header. So that's for another session. But yeah, it's a key thing. And please come back to us via the Alliance if you'd like to have a one-to-one on this.
Yeah, and we'll have the slides that we can share, obviously, and we've recorded this session. So if there's anyone wants to share this around your agency, I think someone else should be viewing it. Yeah, you'll get all those links after this. All right, lovely. Thank you so much, everyone. We've given you 13 minutes back. How kind are we? Thanks very much.
All the best,
everybody.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.